Coach, did you see any changes on film when you watched the Martin game versus what Tennessee did last year?
Yeah, they got a whole new staff, so everything's new. New offense, new defense, new special teams. So, we haven't spent a ton of time looking at last year's Tennessee film. We spent more time looking at Louisiana Tech film, where Coach Dooley came from, Boise State film, where Justin Wilcox came from, Texas Tech film, where their special teams coordinator came from. So, in combination with the last game. So.
Darren's appeared in road games. He's got a start under his belt. You put him in a lot of different situations in fall camp. Does that give you confidence about the way he'll handle himself Saturday, or does that remain kind of an unknown given the environment?
It's still an unknown. I mean, he hasn't played in this environment. This is one of the truly special places in college football to go play. There aren't many stadiums in college football that have 100,000. So it'll be it's new, and we got a lot of young guys that it's going to be new for. So.
Following up on AJ's question a little bit, looking at Louisiana Tech tape and Justin's tape and all of that, what kind of package do you anticipate from them, and where do you expect Tennessee to really kind of put their emphasis?
You don't know, and that's why we got to play. I mean, it's a big unknown. They beat Tennessee Martin 50-0, and you can look at their tape, and they didn't get very deep into their playbook. But it's the same thing with us. We won 72-0. We didn't get very deep into our playbook either. So. That's the unknown going into the game. Exactly how consistent will they be in what we saw in their opening game, or are they going to expand? And we anticipate them to expand, but you don't know that until we line up and play.
Speaking of unknowns, Tennessee might trot out a couple true freshmen at receiver. Do you know? Are you familiar at all with those guys? And do you feel like your cornerbacks got enough of a test last week to get a better?
No, I know they do have some young freshmen. Their one receiver broke his hand, McCoy, and then the other one has an ankle. I don't know if he's going to play. So we didn't see those freshmen on tape. So and we didn't recruit either of those guys. So that's a little bit of an unknown in terms of what those guys can do. And our guys got some tests last week, but obviously not the test we're going to get this week.
You mentioned you're looking at what Boise State did defensively last year as you set up your offensive game plan. Your game against Boise State last year was not a great offensive performance. Was that more what you were unable to do with your execution, or did they cause that, or was it a combination?
Combination of everything. Their players played harder and better than we did last year, and we got beat.
Their scheme cause any particular problems that other schemes don't?
Yeah, he's sound in everything he does. He doesn't give up big plays, but it's how he coaches them. It's more than just the scheme. It's not a X and O type deal. It's how he coaches them and how they play and the passion and the tempo that they play at. So, and that was evident last night if you watch that team again play last night against Virginia Tech. So,
Coach, from a personnel standpoint, does anyone on offense or defense stand out to you when you look at Tennessee?
Yeah, both of their running backs I think are very, very good. They both can run. Poole and Oko can run. They got speed. They have the ability to take it the distance. Obviously I was impressed with the receiver, but he broke his hand. So it's a little bit of an unknown there. I thought they played 4 new linemen, but they're very, very big up front. And they did a really nice job against Tennessee Martin. And then defensively, the front 7 is very impressive, very athletic. We know Malik Jackson a little bit because he's a USC transfer. I thought he played a really good game. All 3 linebackers are solid. So it's a talented group, and we're going to be tested.
Coach, what is your travel schedule looking like for this weekend?
We leave on Friday, just like a normal away game. So I think we arrive there at, I don't know. We leave here at 12:30, so it's a typical Friday leave. We'll practice here like we normally do, and then fly to the other venue. We'll walk around the stadium a little bit when we get there, and then we'll have meetings on Friday night. And we're kicking off at 4 o'clock Pacific time for us, so it's an afternoon game.
Now that Rob Beard's going to take on the role as the place kicker, can you talk about the fall camp he had and what he did to...
Yeah, Robbie has really elevated his game kicking-wise. He had a great year for us last year as our kickoff guy. Tremendous height, tremendous depth on his kickoffs, and actually is a physical player on covering kicks. He had a few tackles for us last year, but really worked in the off-season and through preseason camp on kicking the ball. The ball gets up very quickly. He's got a very, very strong leg, and that's what I think separated him from Eric is that, Eric was consistent and did a nice job for us in the New Mexico game, but he was, the ball had to be inside the 20, for us really to be kicking field goals. So Robbie gives us a little bit more depth in terms of what we need from a kicking standpoint, and has an extremely strong leg. So. Yeah, Cliff is our number 2 punt returner, but I know a lot of people get excited, but returning 2 punts when the score is 42 to nothing does not get you ready to go play in the big time. I got a kid in Kenyon Barner who I believe is the best returner in the country, and I think Ohio State will attest to that. I think UCLA will attest to that. So it's great that we have depth because Cliff is a talented player, but Kenyon is our number 1 punt returner, and Cliff would be back deep along with Talmadge. You'll see LaMichael back on kickoffs. We're going to have all of our talent and Josh Huff back there, so we're going to have all of our players back on kick return. But Kenyon will start the game as our punt returner.